There are words that echo long after they're spoken, words that can build trust or quietly tear it down. If you've lived through decades of relationships, as many of us have, you know how quickly a simple phrase can shift the air in the room, the tone of the day, even the course of a life. By the time we reach our 50s, 60s, and beyond, we've carried more than just memories of love. We carry the lessons, the things we wish we had recognized sooner, the patterns we only understood, with hindsight, the phrases that either affirmed our worth or chipped away at it. Over time, I've noticed 5 phrases that appear again and again. They sound ordinary, but they're not harmless. They're signals, and if you recognize them for what they are, you can save yourself years of confusion, heartbreak, and wasted energy. Let's walk through these 5 phrases together. Before we dive in, if you find comfort in honest conversations like this, hit subscribe. We share stories that don't just pass time, they help make sense of it. Phrase 1. You're too sensitive. Picture a woman in her 60s who has carried the emotional weight of her family for decades. One evening at dinner, she says softly, "It hurt me when you brushed me off in front of the kids." Her husband sighs, "You're too sensitive." Over time, she hears this phrase so often that she stops speaking up at all. Her instincts dull, her voice shrinks, and she learns to prioritize keeping the peace over honoring her truth. I've also seen this in second marriages. A woman, remarried after years alone, dares to speak her needs, only to hear the same words again. "You're too sensitive." The pain cuts deeper this time, because she realizes she's repeating a cycle she thought she'd escaped. Here's the truth. Sensitivity isn't weakness, it's awareness. A loving partner doesn't dismiss what you feel. Even if he doesn't understand, he leans in, asks questions, and chooses respect over ridicule. Phrase 2. I'm just being honest. Now imagine a couple married 40 years. At a family barbecue, the husband makes a cruel remark about his wife's cooking. Later, when she tells him she was hurt, he shrugs. "I'm just being honest." On the surface, it sounds virtuous, but honesty without compassion is cruelty disguised as truth. Over years, this kind of language teaches her to accept meanness as normal, to doubt herself for wishing for kindness. I've seen it in later life dating too. A woman in her 60s meets a man who criticizes her clothes or her body, then says she should appreciate his realness. But that's not realness. That's disrespect. Real honesty may be hard at times, yes, but it never comes as a weapon. It strengthens intimacy, not weakens it. When someone hides behind "I'm just being honest," what they're really saying is, "Your pain matters less than my power." Phrase 3. You're being controlling. Boundaries are essential at every age, but especially later in life when we finally understand the cost of ignoring them. Yet many of us grew up in times when being agreeable was celebrated more than being authentic. Picture a wife saying, "Please call if you'll be late," or "I'd like us to set aside one evening a week for each other." Instead of listening, her husband fires back, "You're being controlling." This accusation silences her. Not wanting to be seen as difficult, she swallows her needs and convinces herself she's easygoing. Slowly, she disappears inside her own life. I've also seen widows or divorcees entering new relationships hear the same thing. They ask for financial respect, time boundaries, or clarity around commitment, only to be told they're too demanding. But setting boundaries isn't controlling others. It's protecting your peace. The truth is simple. Boundaries aren't shackles. They're roadmaps. They don't limit love, they create it. A man who values you won't resent your boundaries. He'll welcome them because they tell him how to love you better. Phrase 4. I'm not ready for a relationship. This one is slippery because it often comes dressed in tenderness. A man says, I'm not ready for anything serious, yet he calls every day, spends weekends with you, introduces you to his friends, and builds all the closeness of commitment without any of the responsibility. When you ask for clarity, he retreats. I told you from the start I wasn't ready. I've seen women stay in this waiting room for years, giving their hearts, their loyalty, their time, hoping patience will one day be rewarded with commitment. Too often, it never comes, and I've seen it in later life dating as well. A woman in her 70s builds an entire shared life, holidays, travel, even caregiving, with a man who insists he's not ready. After years, she realizes she was never truly chosen. The truth is this: when someone wants to be with you, there is no confusion. They don't hesitate. They don't risk losing you. They move forward clearly. Anyone who keeps you uncertain indefinitely isn't unsure. They're comfortable taking what you give without ever stepping up in return. Phrase 5. You've changed. And finally, the phrase that cuts deepest. You've changed, and not for the better. It often arrives at midlife, when women begin to reclaim themselves. After years of putting others first, they start new careers, take up passions, or simply walk taller with more confidence. Instead of celebrating, their partner says, "You're not the person I married." Those words wound deeply. They suggest that growth is betrayal, that becoming more yourself makes you less lovable. I've seen it happen in retirement too. One partner blossoms, new hobbies, friendships, even travel. The other feels threatened and says, "You're changing too much." But what they really mean is, "Well, I missed the version of you that revolved around me." But life is change. Growth is proof of life. To criticize growth is to say, "I loved you better when you were smaller." That isn't love, that's possession. A true partner doesn't just tolerate your evolution, he celebrates it. He's proud when you shine more brightly, because he knows your light only enriches the love you share. So what do we do with these 5 phrases? Maybe you've heard them before. Maybe you're hearing them now. Or maybe you're only just realizing how much they shaped your past without you even noticing. This isn't about suspicion, it's about discernment. After every conversation, ask yourself, do I feel heavier or lighter? Do I walk away encouraged or diminished? Do I feel free to grow or pressured to shrink? By the time we reach this season of life, time itself feels more precious. We no longer have the luxury of giving away years trying to convince someone of our worth. Walking away from those who cannot or will not honor us isn't cruelty. It's clarity, it's self-respect, and it's the only way to make room for love that is real. Your sensitivity is wisdom. Your boundaries are strength. Your growth is the living proof of resilience. If someone uses words to make you doubt these truths, remember, the problem is not you. Love at this stage should not feel like suffocation. It should feel like freedom, like peace, like home. And here's the gift of age. We get second chances. We know now what we didn't know in our 20s. We recognize red flags faster. We see patterns with clearer eyes. We know that protecting our dignity isn't selfish, it's essential. So if you hear these phrases, pause. Don't brush them aside. Listen closely, because the words you accept shape the life you live. and you deserve a life where your heart is honored, your voice is welcomed, and your growth is celebrated. That, and nothing less, is the kind of love worth waiting for.